Hello everyone, back again with movie and tune recap. Today, I'm going to explain an Argentine supernatural horror film from 2017, titled Terrified. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. The movie opens with a woman named Clara, washing dishes in the kitchen, when she starts hearing strange voices coming from the plug hole of the sink. When her husband Juan returns home, Clara tells him about the noise, but Juan dismisses the sounds as mishear or coming from their noisy neighbor, Walter. However, Clara insists the sounds seem like human voices, and they appear to be discussing a plan to kill her. That night, Juan is awakened by loud thumping noises coming from their neighbor's house. He knocks on the wall to tell Walter to stop, but when the noise continues, Juan decides to go over to Walter's house. He tries to communicate with Walter through the intercom, but he receives no answer and angry, Juan threatens to call the police if the thumping doesn't stop, before going back to his house. However, as he continues to hear the thumping, Juan discovers the sound is not coming from Walter's house, but from his own bathroom. To his horror, Juan finds Clara's dead body floating in midair in their bathroom, violently slamming against the wall as if an invisible force is throwing her around. Following the incident, Juan is sent to a mental asylum, where paranormal experts Dr. Rosenstock, Dr. Maura Albrecht, and forensic analyst Mario Jano investigate Clara's death. They uncover that Clara's death is linked to other strange and similar cases. The team asks Juan to tell them everything he knows about Walter, and the strange happenings in the neighborhood leading up to Clara's death. Meanwhile, Walter, who lives next door to Juan and Clara, begins experiencing his own supernatural events. He tries calling Dr. Albrecht for help several times, but she refuses to investigate his claims of paranormal activity. Each night, as Walter tries to sleep, invisible forces shake and move his furniture, including his bed, and when he checks it, he finds nothing. One night, he sets up a video camera to capture the strange occurrences and goes to bed, and later, he is awakened by the sound of the camera falling. He sees a shadow of a figure on the wall, and when he turns on the light, it disappears. When Walter reviews the footage, he is horrified to see a tall, naked figure crawling out from under the bed and stand over him as he sleeps. The figure then hides in the wardrobe, and when Walter inspects it, he finds nothing. However, when Walter watched the footage again, the figure emerged from the wardrobe, and before he can react, the creature grabs him from behind. The following day, a boy named Pucho is seen drinking water from a spigot in Walter's yard. Walter notices him through the blinds and warns him not to drink from his yard. As Pucho steps back into the street, he is suddenly struck by a passing bus. Across the street, Alicia mourns the death of her son, Pucho, and after the funeral, she begins to witness something strange, and see muddy footprints around her house. Meanwhile, Alicia's ex-boyfriend, Police Commissioner Funes, calls Jano, the paranormal investigator and former coroner, to investigate the strange events at her home. When Jano arrives, he and Funes head to the kitchen, where they are shocked to see Pucho's body sitting at the kitchen table, apparently returned from the cemetery, leaving a trail of muddy footprints behind. Jano advised Funes to provide a cover story, suggesting that hallucinations or misunderstood science could explain the corpse's appearance, and while the two discuss this, the corpse suddenly moves, knocking over a glass of milk. The next morning, Jano finds Dr. Albrecht taking pictures of Walter's house across the street. Dr. Albrecht explains that she arrives to meet Walter, after viewing the video recordings he sent her. However, he has gone missing, leaving his house empty, and Jano invites her to examine Pucho's body with him. While they are talking, Pucho's friend Patricio sneaks into the house and drops his backpack in fright when he sees Pucho's body, and his terrified screams attracts the attention of Jano and Dr. Albrecht. After discussing Pucho's condition, Jano and Dr. Albrecht decide to move the lifeless corpse to an outdoor freezer, and unbeknownst to them, Patricio secretly records the entire incident on his cell phone. Together with Rosenstock, another supernatural researcher, Jano and Albrecht visit Juan, who is now the main suspect in his wife's murder and is being held in a psychiatric facility. After being reassured that they believe his story, Juan agrees to let them investigate his house. The specialists return to the troubled street, and each agree to investigate a different property. For their concurrent investigation into the paranormal activity, Rosenstock and Funes spend the night in Walter's house, Albrecht sets up at Juan's house, and Jano stays at Alicia's residence. Dr. Albrecht and Rosenstock begin to theorize that the neighborhood might serve as a gateway to another dimension of existence, one that allows dark entities to cross over. They believe that these entities may travel through water, much like bacteria spreading through liquid. As the investigators delve deeper into the bizarre phenomena, they begin to die in gruesome and inexplicable ways. Rosenstock experiences a terrifying encounter when an unseen presence pierces his hand to a fork, and starts to suck his blood through a kitchen cabinet. With Funes holding his gun, Rosenstock opens the cabinet, but the unseen force shifts to another location, and Rosenstock managed to free himself. While talking to Dr. Albrecht on the phone, Rosenstock recounts his ordeal, and Funes notice things in the room moving on their own. While cleaning up the blood on the floor, Funes hears strange noises coming from the plug hole of the kitchen sink, and frightened, he quickly leaves the kitchen. Meanwhile, Jano spots a pale figure that can only be seen from certain angles, which launch at him through a window. Rosenstock proves that two realities are coexisting in the same space and time by demonstrating to Funes that the creatures can be seen from different perspectives, involving varying light and darkness. Terrified by what he saw, Funes heads to Alicia's house to meet Jano, but when he arrives, Jano is nowhere to be found. Suddenly, Funes hears strange noises and banging coming from a cupboard. When he opens it, he is horrified to find Jano's phantom form with glass shards in his eyes, trapped inside the cabinet. Meanwhile, Dr. Albrecht is investigating a crack in the wall at Juan's house when she encounters a mutated version of Walter inside. Moments later, Funes arrives to inform her of what he just witnessed, and Albrecht tells him that not everything he sees is real. She adds to Rosenstock's theory by explaining that the creatures are interdimensional entities that use water microbes to inhabit humans. Suddenly, Funes witnesses a creature's claw emerging from a hole in the wall, and attack Dr. Albrecht. The creature kills her, and Funes collapses from a heart attack. As the creature starts to fully emerge from the hole and moves toward Funes, he loses consciousness. When he regains consciousness, Funes finds that the creature has disappeared. However, the horror isn't over. Objects in the room begin to move on their own, and now terrified, Funes managed to escape, but he realized that the terror is far from over. Meanwhile, back at Walter's house, Rosenstock notices something strange, and he is attacked by an unseen force. After Patricio's mother shows Alicia the cell phone video, she confronts Funes about dismissing her concerns, and accuses him of making her believe she was going mad. Visibly shaken, Funes asks Alicia to take him to a hospital, but when he sees Pucho's corpse in Alicia's back seat, he refused the ride. Instead, Funes gets into his own car, only for a creature to lunge at his window just before he speeds away. While at another location, Officer Enrique Guzman calls Funes to inform him that he is at Alicia's house searching for him, and that Jano is acting strangely. Funes urgently advises Guzman to leave the neighborhood immediately, and he returns to Alicia's house, carrying gasoline. As he begins dousing the house with gasoline, he encounters Pucho's corpse in a room, and to his horror, finds Alicia hanging from a noose. After preparing to set the house on fire, Funes is confronted by Jano, now in a grotesque creature form. However, Funes managed to set all three houses ablaze. 1 year later at the psychiatric facility, Masiero, Dr. Razzioni, and Officer Guzman interview Juan, hoping to gather information about his experience with Rosenstock, Albrecht, and Jano in relation to Funes' mysterious disappearance. As they question Juan, he becomes distracted by the figure of a tall man standing behind them, a figure that resembles a burned version of Rosenstock. The others turn around but see nothing except an empty chair, and suddenly, the chair flies toward the camera, and the movie concludes. Okay guys, that's all the recap about Terrified from 2017. Thanks for watching, see you again in the next video.